Good evening. How's everyone
Hi,
doing?
good evening. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. All right, let's see what's going on. Did you receive a email from Tara
Yes.
about
Ma-
a presentation? That was not on my agenda, so I don't know where that came from, but huh?
the live stream was giving me a background noise. What were you saying, Debbie?
No, I said she sent an email late this evening about some presentation by OTI, and I
Yeah,
don't know
they
where
weren't
that
scheduled.
came from.
Yeah, they weren't scheduled to present. The management is working on it. So she
Yeah,
can
but
reach
that's
out.
for the general board.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Um,
Okay,
well,
so
yeah, it was sent. Yeah, it was sent. So
yeah,
there.
but I responded to let her know that that was not on my agenda for tonight. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the agenda was
so
posted on
yeah,
the website. So
or it's posted on the website.
yes, the agenda that you proposed is on the website as well.
Yeah,
Hmm. Just
okay,
the number ending with 3832. If you can just tell me your name so I can add you to the panelists.
okay. So I guess we'll give folks about 10 after to join us.
Okay. If you're on the phone, you just unmute by *6. Just let me know your name, please.
I'm sorry. No, I was just saying my name is Doreen Thomas and I attend Fenimore Street United Methodist Church. I just
Okay.
wanted to get on the board on the to the meeting to hear what's going on. So
Okay. And
is this a specific meeting?
this is environmental protection.
Okay.
Yes.
Just I'm just listening in to see if there's anything that we can do in the community or as a church in that neighborhood.
Yeah, you're more than welcome. Can you just tell me your name again?
Doreen Thomas.
Okay. And if you want to check the agenda for tonight, it is on our website. If you put in Brooklyn Community Board 9 and
Okay.
direct you. Let me
Okay.
know
I'm on
when
the
you.
phone. Really, I didn't. I'm
Oh,
not on the
okay.
computer.
All right. So yeah, you're more than welcome to listen and enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. I'm here. I'm just at the
Hello.
we're printing some things out
Okay.
for the meeting. I like to have it on paper, then I can make notes. I went, and Sullivan and Franklin, they used the grant that Christian LeBeau received for the EP today. Martina, who used to be on a community member, took care of that, set it up. It was pretty great, actually. I have some wonderful pictures. I hope I can share them. A large group of high school students came with their teacher and some neighborhood residents. We should try and get some more grants. Can anybody hear me? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, you could hear all that stuff I said? I wasn't sure.
Your audio is fine.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if my phone was working. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. And yourself?
I'm doing pretty good. A little cold and windburnt from being out working in the tree pit gardening today.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Okay.
know if you weren't around, but last year, I'll talk about it more in the meeting, so it's so there's notes.
Okay,
But
so it's 7:10 now. I'm going to call the meeting to order. My name is Debbie Timothy, and I am the Chair of the Environmental Protection Committee. Welcome, everyone. I'm not going to hold the meeting longer to wait for anyone. I'm just gonna get started. And so Khalid, have you heard from any of the other resident or community board members?
No, I haven't, but I'm still looking at
committee?
the email
Uh-huh.
to see if anybody responds. But no, not at this moment. No one has reached out. No one called earlier. So this is
Oh.
just, yeah.
Okay, so we are going to skip our encouragement for today. Hopefully she'll show up. If not, we hope that she's okay. I don't even know that we have a quorum to accept the minutes and the agenda for today. So, I am just going to
do we need 50% to accept the meeting? Because if there's 4 of us, we have 50%.
so it's supposedly what, 4 or 5?
4.
It's, you have how many people in here?
Or is it more than 5? Because
Uh,
usually
the
there's,
bishop just joined, so you might have it now, but before you didn't.
okay,
1,
okay, so
3.
yeah,
Yeah, you have quorum now.
okay.
So is
So,
quorum 50%?
It has to be people on the board.
50% of board for quorum in a meeting.
In the committee meeting.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
okay, so we now have the Reverend with us. We were just going to, are you there?
She just got off.
She got off, she fell off.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Oh.
see if she can get back on there quickly. At least to make sure that we have a quorum to move on. Has anyone heard from Christine? recently?
I have not. Have you?
I'm surprised that people wouldn't even call the board to let them know that, they're not available to attend the meetings. I don't know. I don't understand
I hope
what
she's okay
else to say.
because she was regularly coming and then.
Right.
this-
And you're not even making contact with the board, so that I don't get it. So maybe Khalid, some memo or email can be sent to her to
Christine?
inquire. I don't know if there's anyone else that is missing as well, but pretty much the folks that's on tonight is pretty much consistent. So I guess an email reaching out to the others to
Okay.
find out if everything is okay, and to at least acknowledge that, there is a committee meeting every month, and they need to at least reach out to the board if they have, personal issue or anything to that,
Okay,
yeah, that would be
That- I'll-
helpful. Thank
that'll
you.
be sent tomorrow. Okay.
So are you making notes? Are you, Khalid?
Yeah, I can take notes.
Okay, so that would be helpful. I guess, oh, she's back on there. So I guess we can get started,
Hey, Debbie.
continue with our meeting. Good evening, Reverend. So we were just about to move on, but since you're on with us now, we were waiting to get our words of encouragement and to continue this meeting. So, it's all yours now. And thank you for joining us.
God bless you, Debbie.
Thank you.
I'm trying to get rid of a flu here.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear.
No problem. I look forward to
Yeah,
meeting
thank
and
you for joining
speaking.
us. Yeah.
Yes, and praying. So
Yes,
let us
indeed.
speak about God that is our shepherd and the one that we shall not want. That though we go through various vicissitudes of life, we ought not to be afraid, because the almighty arms of the universe will protect and guard and keep us safe through all the changing scenes of this life. We thank God that we stand again at this meeting with you, Debbie, under your leadership, under the leadership of our chairman of the board and all members of Community Board 9. And while we struggle to make sure that the faces of our responsibility shines with love and peace and harmony, we understand that there is clearly a demarcation line where peace and love and harmony does not shine. But we press on because we believe that the God that we serve will always see us through. So whether it's about the land that we live on, or the bikes that are on the street so cars can't park, or towels that are up that are dangerous for cancer, or whether or not we just want to walk through the park so we can look at the environment, make sure that all that is needed to be done is done. Whatever it is that stands, obstacles will never be able to stop us, for we are determined as members to walk uprightly to do what we must do for our environment. And something that is delayed don't mean that it will not happen. It simply means that God in its own time will give us the strength and we will overcome. So tonight, Lord, even our state, as it is facing this conflict, we are asking you not only to shed your light, but to protect all of our citizens, our police officers, our judges, our district attorney, and all those that are involved. And may your righteousness stand and your peace be upon us all while we wait for your glory, for you are the King of Kings. So it is, and so it shall be. Amen.
Amen. And thank you for that word.
God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. So we are going to move along with our agenda for this evening. I would like to put a motion on the floor to accept the minutes and the agenda for the minutes from March 2nd meeting and the agenda for tonight's meeting. Did everyone receive the information? Hello?
Yes. Yes, Debbie.
Okay, so,
Yes, thank you.
Oh. okay, thank you. All right, we're gonna move on. Our roll call, well, we know Ms. Wester, we'll just introduce ourselves again quickly. For those that are not familiar with the Environmental Protection Committee of CB9, my name is Debbie Timothy, and I am the chair of the Environmental Protection Committee meeting for CB9. Khalid, we can, you can go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
You want to
Good
call you?
Thank you. Good evening, all. Hope all is well. My name is Khalid Jamaat, Community Associate with Brooklyn Community Board 9. Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you. Ms. Westerdahl?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Teresa, and this is my second year serving on the Environmental Protection Committee, the first serving as a community board member. And I look forward to discussing environmental protection with you tonight.
Thank you. Reverend Gonzalez, you're up
Yes.
next.
Yes, Reverend Gonzalez here. I'm just happy to serve with you, Debbie, and I want you to know that we did try to get a permit to do
Uh-huh.
that walk with the students,
Uh-huh.
and the dates were taken, but we are still on it to
Okay,
make sure that we get the opportunity. The walk will be in Prospect Park,
okay,
and we're gonna do as much of the park as we can.
okay,
So I'm working on that, and as soon as I get the layout for you, I will let you know, and we will be in the park.
okay, great. Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm working
Thank
on
you.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. No
Ms.
problem.
Thomas?
Hi, I'm Doreen Thomas. I'm a member of Fenimore Street United Methodist Church. We're at the corner of Rogers and Fenimore. And I just wanted to be in touch with the board to see what goes on in the community. If there's anything that the church should know about, anything that we can participate in.
Okay, great. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Ms. Boyd, I see you on the meeting.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
my video is not working. I'm not,
Okay,
so I do apologize about not showing my face, but somehow the video is not operative. But my name is Alicia Boyd. I'm a community resident inside of CB9. I am attending because I'm extremely concerned about the 5G towers that are now have been already placed in our community, and the community board and the community had no notification of that, nor have we been able to make any comments about it, especially because these things are extremely dangerous, not only to the
okay, so can
physical.
we talk about that?
Yes, I'm
little bit?
introducing myself. I saw
Okay.
Doreen introduce
Thank-
herself, so I'm introducing myself.
Thank
So
you.
I'm concerned about those things. And so and I think that that's kind of rude, Miss Timothy, for you to interrupt me when you didn't interrupt Doreen. It shows
Miss-
like a lack of respect. So I'm
I
just
just-
introducing myself. So again, I'm here because I am concerned about those 5G towers and the fact that we have not been notified. So I am here to see what it is the Environmental Protection Committee can do in order to prevent the activation of these towers, as well as move forward with not activating them and also their removal. Thank you.
Thank you. I see someone else on there. It says Yeshiva's iPhone, Khalid.
Yes.
Hello? Can
Good,
you
good
please-
evening, everyone. Good
your
evening,
name
everyone.
and-
My name is Rabbi Menachem Baruch.
I'm sorry?
Rabbi Baruch.
Can
You
you
said
spell
Rabbi Baruch. Rabbi Baruch.
B-A-R-U-C-H?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Can you introduce yourself, please?
I'm a resident of East Flatbush,
Okay.
and the community is very worried about this tower. Sadly, we know about so many incidents of people that their health were affected about these type of towers and others. And we really would like to oppose and ask the New York City, please do not put these towers. And it's really real concern for our community.
Okay, and you said you're a resident of East Flatbush?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And I see Mr. Sorin on here. Can you briefly introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Hello, my name is Jay Sorid. I take part in the housing committee, but I don't have a title. So I'm not going to say I'm a member of the housing committee, even though I
Okay.
am, because I've been warned by the board, don't say member of the housing committee.
Okay.
So I'm not saying them. I don't want to be in
Okay, well,
like
I'm-
Zoom jail.
I'm not sure what that conversation was all about, but you know, you can just.
Not you, Ms. Timothy. It wasn't from you, but thank you.
Okay,
Okay, very good.
okay, thank you. I see Miss Wilkins on here. Can you introduce yourself briefly, please, for those that may not be aware of who you are?
Yes, hi, I'm happy to be here. This is I'm Odette Wilkins. I'm president and general counsel of Wired Broadband, a nonprofit focusing on safe technology for the public.
Okay. So
And
of
I'm-
course, you were on our meeting several weeks ago.
Right.
Okay. Thank you for joining us tonight. Did I miss anyone else, Khalid?
Teodora Scarrato, I think she was here. And Teresa, I guess, Teresa laptop, that's your laptop, Teresa, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I'm just using my laptop too because I want to be able to look up things on my phone while so I can see both.
No problem. All right.
Did you get my resolution? The resolution I made is sent today.
Yeah, I saw it.
To the board, right? Yes, that's being handled by me.
I saw it.
Okay, great. Did you see it, Debbie?
When did you send that? Today?
Today? Yeah.
I
just a little bit.
looked at a few items this evening, but I didn't get around to looking at everything. But I guess I'll do that later on. What was it a resolution about?
It was what we talked about last time. It's about the OTI and the City Bridge and the Lincoln Way C5G towers.
Uh-huh.
It's about that.
Okay, so you said it was a resolution or
Well,
a recommendation?
It's it's a resolution. It's a page and a half, mostly
Mhm.
about City Bridge, protecting the community. Asking for moratorium until we can figure out what's happening, basically. That's what
Okay,
other
but that was something that should have been done on behalf of the committee, not an individual. I mean,
Oh,
we
it's-
talked about that, but we didn't get to, you know,
it's
the
just for everyone.
details.
It's for
Yeah.
everyone over you, the whole board, us, EP. Yeah,
So who did you direct it to?
I sent it to you first.
No, you sent it to the board office? Is that,
I sent it to the community board office
Uh-huh.
today. You, Bishop, and Christina, EP and the board, so the board would have it. So if we needed to share it, they would have it on file. So I didn't know if I could screen share. So
But we should have all agreed on that before you did that. So
agreed on what?
on whatever you wrote on behalf of
That's
the
why
committee.
That's why I'm showing it to you, so we
No,
can.
no, but you, what I'm saying is you should have done that before, I mean, even discussing it, because, you know, we're meeting tonight and you've already sent that information,
Well,
is what I'm saying.
I didn't send it so it could be done. I sent it so Khalid could show it on the, on the screen for everybody to see. Not
Yes.
just,
Khalid, were
it's,
you aware of that,
it's just a proposal. It's not a, it's.
okay, Khalid, were you aware of that? Because.
I didn't know it was supposed to be shared today based on the agenda that was.
Right, because it's not on
know.
the agenda for that, and this is the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Excuse me. There's a document that has, excuse me. I would like to just ask that colleague share that document to the people here who are currently here. This is obviously a proposal.
Ms. Boyd, can I just say something? Please, there is an agenda that is in place. That was not a part of the agenda. And
it is a part of the agenda. It was supposed to be
how was it a part of the agenda?
According to your agenda, you were going to be talking about the 5 towers and making a decision on the 5 towers.
Okay, so that's a new business. We are still in.
I understand that, but as the open meetings law requires, anything that you are going to be discussing or voting upon, you need to share it with the community. So I'm asking, she's proposing a resolution.
No. Well, we are not going, Ms. Boyd, we are not going to do that. We are not going to do that.
How are you going to proceed
today? We will have a discussion as stated in the new business. And if that is something that we, want to talk about further and how we want to go about it, then we can move in that direction. But, there is an agenda in place, already in place.
And so there's also something called new business.
We are not going to do that tonight, Ms. Boyd. I'm sorry, but I'm.
So what exactly are you going to do tonight?
We do have an agenda. Did you get a copy of the agenda?
Yes, and the agenda stated that you were going to make a decision about the 5G towers.
Okay, Khalid, I'd like to be able to speak as the chair of the meeting, so I'm not sure what you can do to make this happen, but I need to, move along with this agenda here. Thank you.
Yeah, discuss it in EP committee to discuss drafting 5G recommendation letter.
Okay, so we were going to talk about it, how we were going to do that, Ms. Westerdo. We were going to talk about it and see what is the best way to move forward on this. There is more information on this topic that we are not even aware of. And we need to find out who, what, where, when, how, and why before we even move forward on this.
I agree.
Is that understood? So maybe, we need to talk about these things and not just go out there and put stuff out there. It's not right.
What's not right?
So we have an agenda for tonight, and that's what we're gonna go on. Anything else that comes up, we will discuss it. Hopefully at our next meeting, depending on how much information we can come up with tonight to move forward in whether it's making a recommendation or otherwise. Is that clear? Hello?
Are you talking to me?
Well, I'm speaking to everyone that's on this committee. I mean, we were aware that this is taking place.
As a member of the community.
So according to my agenda, this is what I'm going by. And this is how we're going to go along with this agenda that is here.
All right, great.
Okay, so anything that we discuss in our new business, then we will determine how we're going to move forward on it. But until we get the questions that, relate to whatever transpired from back in 2019, I don't know who was sharing what at this committee and, all the things, the information pertaining to the whole 5G thing. We have to get to the root of it to find out why things didn't happen and who is responsible and all these things. I think
Yeah,
that's fair enough to
I-
say.
I agree. I think that's why we need to
Okay,
put a-
so this is
put
what
a
we're going to
moratorium
do. There is an agenda here and that's what we're gonna
so
go
we
by.
figure it out. You know, let's put a moratorium in place and then we can figure it all out in the meantime. That's a great idea.
Okay, so we are still, so that we did, well, there's 3 of us here, so that's roll call. Khalid, you can just note that, and then we have our guest. Just make sure that everyone is listed on the, attendance. And we, in old business, we're gonna go on to old business. And we had some past discussions before the whole 5G thing came up, and we did not really determine how we want to move on that, which is the design of our laminated signs for the community, to keep the community clean. I've noticed a lot of, garbage and dog poop and more, so walking around rats. Yesterday I heard, someone talking about holes in their yards and, things like that. So, we need to pretty much figure out how we want to move on that, and then in terms of, continuing to take pictures of, areas that are problematic. I see a lot of ponding when it rains. I see a lot of garbage that I've been taking pictures of. And I believe Ms. Westerdahl, you've been doing the same.
Yeah, I've been taking
So,
pictures.
so you've been, I sent mine to the board. I believe that you did the same. So we asked people to continue to do so in terms of trying to get some of those issues addressed by the Forest Service Cabinet attendees, which is staff from elected officials' office who supposedly attend that meeting. So I often ask Khalid and Dante to make sure that those issues are on their agenda items when this meeting happens.
Yeah, I'm noticing that
Uh-huh.
I'm sending pictures, I'm filing 311 reports, and they're being marked as resolved, but then none of them are resolved. None.
When,
None.
where do
Either-
you,
For example,
when you
there's
submit the information?
for example, there's
Uh-huh.
a neighbor who's put in, there's over 11 complaints, 311 complaints filed about trees with branches falling. The branches fell and broke car windows very recently, the last
Mhm.
windstorm. The trees, there's several trees that are dying, a group of them, one in particular. And it's marked as resolved, but the branches are still falling and it's not resolved. That's one example. Another one's the corner with on Bedford and Sullivan.
Did you submit that information to the
Oh,
board
yes.
office so that they can at least follow
Yes.
up to see whether they can come and prune those trees or take care of
Yes,
the branches that are?
that's why, I sent it to the board. 11,
Okay, how long ago was that?
maybe 2 weeks ago.
Khalid, are you
Yes, I'm
familiar
here.
with that?
was a-
When was it sent?
You said
Inez's,
2 weeks ago.
it was on the night of Inez's funeral. That's where they told me about it.
Inez? Okay.
Inez Frazier's funeral. She passed
Okay.
away with a gardener in my neighborhood, and my neighbors brought this complaints to my attention. I looked it up. 311 complaints. I sent it to Dante, and nothing's happened. Broken car windows.
Okay, but you said that it stated that it was resolved?
Yeah, they always say resolved, but then it doesn't get done. It's like
Okay.
all the
So that means,
pigeon, feces on Empire Boulevard, that's just like 2 are resolved, 1's open, and the pigeons and the feces are still there. What do we do?
Okay, so Khalid, you were saying something?
no, I was saying that the email that was sent, was sent to Dante. So everything that was sent, he works on. So he's working on it right now. And
And
when they're
also
sent,
Teresa mentioned the bird feces on, I believe it's Empire between, that building between, Bedford and Rogers.
I did not see that email. If she could just forward that to me, just so I have it at the top of the email.
Okay, Teresa, are you on that?
Well, ask Dante for it. That's been going on for like, you
Okay,
know,
so it was sent to
That was something
Dante.
that Dante has been working on with you?
yeah, I just gave up, I gave up. I've been working on this other stuff.
Okay, so just if you can just forward that again, just so I have it.
I'm just using it as an example of things, like how we get things resolved that it doesn't really help. I don't know what
Okay,
to
so
do.
Khalid, can I ask you a question? What is there format in terms of how things are recorded and how they are,
So
you know,
anytime a complaint
updated
comes or
and,
something, yeah, anytime a complaint comes, that's filed, and we have
Yeah.
that marked down, like, based on what the issue is. Everything that was sent, that Teresa has sent, if Dante has been working on, that's something that he speaks to those agencies about during his cabinet meetings. So,
okay,
and
so
then there's
is
also,
this like a database or something?
I wouldn't say a database because it's 311. So anytime it's an issue, say it's a 311 issue, we follow up with that and then follow up with those agencies. I don't know if I can't speak on the other agencies, but I just know what we do.
Okay, so,
But I can ask Teresa, she said that it wasn't, resolved. She said it wasn't resolved. So I just want that, whatever she said wasn't resolved, just forward back to the board so that when I have a review with the team tomorrow, this could be all talked about.
right, because why I ask is because I think that if it's not a database, it tend to get lost. And I think I made a
But everything,
recommendation a long time ago that, it should be something where, all the staff has access to the information so that, if there's a column where it says status, at
yeah,
least, you can go in there and pull it up and see where it is. I think
I mean,
that's a good,
it's sent to the email and everybody has access to that in the office. So that's why I asked for her to, we just resend that email.
okay. Okay, so that would be helpful if, we can get back, get some feedback on that. Okay, so are there any other questions pertaining to that or information?
I have my hand raised. I'm not sure if you're recognizing that particular point.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Boyd, you have the floor.
It's my understanding that the way that this is supposed to work is that if the 311 calls have been placed and they are now responding back that the issue has been resolved, a letter is supposed to be sent from the community board, or an email sent to the community board. So there's a documentation, there's been conversation where the community board would sit there and say, hey, we have these 311 complaints, here they are. You're saying that these are resolved, these have not been resolved, and let's move forward with making sure that this happens. This idea that Dante is supposed to somehow mention it during a cabinet meeting, first, does not create a paper trail where you can hold the agency accountable for responding appropriately to the complaints. And two, it's not the format that a community board should be engaging in. You should be contacting directly the agency that is responsible for this, not necessarily discussing it at a cabinet meeting and saying, hey, we have a lot of outstanding complaints. Why haven't they resolved? Here are the copies. So I'm asking, I know this might be a little unusual for this committee, but the committee should be directing the community board, the Dante, in writing, stating that we've had all of these complaints. Please follow up on this and please keep us in the loop as far as the communication thread so that we know that work is actually being done, because the experience that the residents in CB9 are experiencing is that nothing is actually being done at the community board's level. We keep complaining and nothing happens. We keep being told that communications are happening, but we're not seeing any physical evidence of those communications. So I would like for this committee to consider sending a letter to Dante that includes Teresa's 11 complaints and 311 complaints and asking him to follow up via email so that a chain is actually created where we know that communications are happening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your
Excuse me.
feedback.
Excuse me,
I
Debbie.
actually mentioned that on several occasions, I mean, that we need to put things in writing. I'm not sure what, is happening currently at the board office. I know on
Excuse
several
me, Debbie.
occasions, I put information on writing and send it there. But for some reason we were, told to, submit the information to the board office and they will handle it. So Khalid, you go ahead because
Yes.
I'm not sure exactly what process you guys have.
So it's not only, so excuse me if you misunderstood me, Ms. Boyd, first of all.
Okay,
Dante is not only the cabinet, like I said, like the emails are saved. So
Mhm.
all the complaints are saved in that email thread. So it's not only like, oh, it's word of mouth, he just goes and that's the end of it. So everything
Okay.
that's sent is saved. So, we have a like characterized list of complaints. So those agencies are reached out to not only just word of mouth.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then
Thank you.
if that is the case, then there should be documentation about that form of communication. And so so then if I have to ask for that form of documentation, I should be able to get it. But I would
Understood.
hope that the environmental committee would also put something in writing to Dante, which makes it a little bit more powerful, and say, Dante, there's these outstanding issues. Please make sure that you follow up on them and keep us in the loop. If you say that and write that, then that becomes a lot more powerful than, again, doing a verbal communication with.
Again, Ms. Boyd, I will state, that is my procedure. I normally write and request that the information we be provided, feedback on those information that is submitted to the board office in writing by me.
Oh, great. It's great.
So I've been doing that as long as I've been on the board, even when I did the transportation committee and any other committee that I've chaired, that's how I function. In terms of, the feedback, I can't speak to that, but that is how I, pretty much, submit my documents to the board in terms of asking for, updates on what's going on as I hear it or see it. That is what I do.
So it's my understanding that
wanted
you
to
will
let
be
you know.
contacting them. I just need clarity here. You're just saying that you're going to be contacting them, asking them about these complaints, and then you're asking them to follow up on it, and you're going to be doing
I
it.
said, what I said was that I normally what I do, anything that I provide, I write to the board.
Okay.
Yes, that is
You will
how I
be-
send my emails.
So you will be doing that.
Requesting that they follow up on whatever the issue is, along with pictures, if I take pictures or if I just describe what I'm talking about of what I see in the community. Yes.
And so that will happen with this particular issue.
Teresa said she sent it over.
So you won't be following up. You will be leaving that to
Well,
Teresa.
Dante will provide, Khalid will provide Dante with the information to follow up with Ms. Westerdahl on this issue that, she brought up.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Khalid, any further information for us? Or
Yeah,
you-
please, Teresa, if you can just, we can follow up tomorrow on this, just so it's not, so we can just, get this to the correct agencies and it's not, it's handled.
Okay, so are you speaking to the information that Ms. Westerdahl said she?
Yeah, I'm
sent
speaking,
over?
everything that she sent, if she can just forward that back, just so in case it, has been, just in case that has been lost, I can just see it, just so that, it's two eyes on it. I could show Dante, this is what's going on, and this is a issue, and we could follow up on it tomorrow or this week.
So, I have
Yeah.
another question. So the information is not logged anywhere at the board office?
It's on the
Because, only
email.
because I heard the word lost.
No, I'm saying not law. All right, let me change that. My words. All right. Not lost. It could be, it's a lot of emails we get, so I'm just saying if she could just forward that back, I can go back and just check, but I just want to make sure I got all the issues that she's concerned about in the board and the committee.
Okay, so Ms. Westerdahl, can you please provide Khalid with another copy of the information that you sent over there so that he
Well,
can follow up?
I find this very time consuming and not really a good way to spend my time because, I've done that and nothing changes. It doesn't seem to really help. It took me like how many months just to get a trash can back on the corner that my neighbors are all celebrating. It took months of basically nagging Dante. But there's other things that are more pressing that are happening now. And honestly, for me to send them to go do a complaint, send it to CB9 and have there be no database and not really any follow-up. And I feel like it's pushed under the rug and I complain again and again and again. And it's just, I'm feeling a little desperate with this, honestly. So it would be great if, as Debbie suggested, there were a database that I could just look at and see where you are instead of constantly emailing over and over and then nothing changes. 11 complaints, none of those complaints are from me, by the way. 11 complaints on a tree that's falling with branches falling over many, many, many months is that's a real hazard to life and limb, has me concerned,
Excuse
So,
me, Teresa.
Okay,
It's just one, 11 complaints on one issue, or it's 11 different complaints on
if you
different issues?
look like my neighbor spoke to me and I looked on 311 myself and I saw the 11 complaints. I
On
made
the one tree.
it's on, there's trees all on that corner. I don't know. There's
Okay,
one
so
tree.
what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back on the email and bring
It's
up
like,
everything that you have sent.
just
Just a moment.
okay,
please.
can we just one by one, please? Thank you.
It's like 3 trees that are very, very big and old, and all of them need to be trimmed and fixed, maybe one even cut down. They're bad, and it's been happening for, I'd say, maybe a couple of years, really. And when I looked after my neighbors told me this, and I did tell my neighbor, call CB9. I went through this with them a while ago, and then more branches fell very recently. And I went and I looked and I saw 11 complaints, and that my neighbors have made, not me, my neighbors. And I made a screenshot of it. I sent it to the board. And what's happened? Nothing.
So let's say like
So I'm not
the
complaining.
database
Okay,
is in the
so
email.
Teresa, can Khalid,
I can speak
respond to you?
Yeah, so the database is in the email. It's not that it's not lost, it's all in the email. So everything you sent is logged and is able to be followed up on. I'm gonna go back and see the email that you sent on this tree and then follow with Dante and the proper agency to get this handled. And I'm gonna follow up with you in the morning if you're available.
Just look at the 311 map and you can see all the complaints for the
Yeah, but I
neighborhood.
just want you to know that it's being worked on. So that's why I want to follow up with you.
I don't think it is, but okay.
Okay,
I have to say that I completely agree with Teresa. I have been watching this community board and the district office handle issues of the community, which is their primary job, is to take care of complaints and make sure the services are provided to the community. And I've watched the district office not respond. I've watched Teresa tirelessly bring up issues that community residents has. And I think that there really needs to be a thorough discussion about what happens at CB9, this office, because so many things are not happening in our community. Our needs are not being met. Services are not being provided. And that's the main job of a community board, is to ensure that the services that are available actually happen in this community. And so I just have to thank Teresa for all of her tireless work. And I do appreciate, Khalid, your your position that you're going to follow up and you're going to take care of it. But I think what Teresa is saying, it should have been done 2 weeks ago. It should not wait into a committee meeting where more damage could happen. And what's happening at the community board office, that these complaints, especially when they come from a committee member, a community board member, are not being followed up appropriately. You know, communication is not happening between the people who are processing the complaint or doing the complaint. So we're trying to figure out what the hell, excuse my French, is going on at the office. What are you guys doing? Because we keep feeling like we're not being taken care of.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boyd. Khalid, is there a
Yeah.
way to pull up all of the emails that you received from Ms. Westerlo?
Yes.
Okay, so I think that would be helpful in terms of, you know, getting to the bottom of exactly all of the concerns that she raised in the past and most recently. And, you know, try to figure out, you know, what the status is on those issues. And I guess report back that way about, you know, where they are and, you know, whether, you know, there's anything to be done or whether they're, you know, the issue has been resolved, and how do you know that it was resolved or anything like that? So that at least we are all on the same page in terms of, you know, those issues getting resolved.
Yeah, I'm really looking to
Okay.
help. Well, I'd rather not feel like impotent, you know, in this search for just helping my neighbors out and my community. They're very concerned about the 5G, so that's why I'm working on that. You know, they've been.
Okay, so we will, so Teresa, again, I'm gonna ask you to send the email that you sent recently to Dante, I mean to Khalid, because
Again?
apparently you sent it to Dante and
Excuse me,
Khalid
Debbie,
is
it's fine.
willing to follow.
I will search for these emails and follow and see if they're the correct, you know, proper emails that she's talking about.
Okay,
Teresa.
I have a, when I send an email, right, I
okay,
just
thank you.
EB9, and I'm assume that everybody in the office gets to see it. Khalid, Dante, and Mia, and they work on it together. Is it just going to just Dante or just you? I mean, that's a little.
Like you said, the email is looked at by everyone. So it's worked on by everyone who in their capacity. So I'll follow up with the district manager about these issues.
Okay, so can you, will you be in the office tomorrow? Is that what
Yes.
you're speaking to?
Yes, I'll
Okay,
be in the
so-
office tomorrow.
So
I'll
you'll
be,
follow up tomorrow?
yeah, I'm gonna look up all the emails. See on the 311s as well and see if they're the correct issues that Teresa's brought up.
Okay, thank you for your services.
Thank you. Thank you
Khalid.
all.
Yes. Okay, so we are going to now move on to new business. Next on the agenda. And in terms of the whole 5G network developments that came to the Environmental Protection Committee, and you know, it's a lot that, you know, we still need to find out exactly what transpired between OTI or Do It, if that's what they were called back then, and why, you know, the issue wasn't addressed appropriately. Because I believe at the general board meeting, I heard Jay mention that the process was never followed. So again, you know, in terms of finding out exactly what happened, we need to, you know, ask the board what, you know, was received, what information was received, and what was done at that time, who was sharing the, the meeting at that time, whether the information was sent to the chair of the board. So there's a lot of questions to be answered. And, the more I think about this, it's mind-boggling to me to know that, whatever is coming into our communities, we need to be aware and to, get this information at this present time. I mean, I can't, wrap my head around what, what transpired back then and why, things were not handled differently. So at this point, I was actually going to discuss this topic since, we got information on this, I believe at our last meeting and, or the 2 meetings before when we heard from some of the guests on this meeting tonight. And, I've been making my own notes because to have this issue, which from my research, there's installations taking place, and the committee was not informed. I mean, I feel as though this committee has the right to question what happened, and why, things were done that way, in order to get this information to the committee and hear from to the residents, and to, hear from the residents as to how they feel about this whole 5G development and installation process and whatever else this may entail. I think it's fair enough to say, as the chair of this committee, we need to know, the 5 Ws, what happened. I'm not sure if anyone else has any information or questions, but I do, and I'm sure that, the other committee members, other members of the committee, they too would have, questions pertaining to, moving forward on this issue. But I would like to do so, by, getting information from the board office, trying to find out, what information they got, what was done with it, and things like that. So I'm just going to
Mrs.
allow,
Boyd
others.
and
I'm sorry.
I said Mrs. Boyd and Teresa have their hand up. Yes,
Okay, so yeah, so as we move forward, those are the questions that I would like to have answered before, making any conclusion in terms of this topic. So I'm just gonna, hear what the others with their hands raised have to add to, what I just said. But it's, it's concerning if in fact it was not handled the way it should have with the whole Euler process. And to the committee members, I did send you guys copies of, the way the process should be, handled. And so I hope you, it's helpful, looking at that information so you have a sense as to how, this process, takes place. And I also sent an explanation as to, the process. So hopefully that was some helpful information in terms of this whole 5G issue at hand. So Khalid, whose hand was up first?
it was Alicia, Ms.
Okay.
Westerdahl, and then Mrs. Sword.
Okay, so we are going to hear what Ms. Boyd has to say on this.
You know, the
mediate
fact,
issue?
you know, I understand that, you know, we're now trying to do catch up. We're trying to figure out,
Mhm.
you know, why is it that these 5G towers were placed into our community and why our community board failed to notify the community or the committees in ensuring that we had some input into that. However, you know, they're still moving forward. You know, they're still digging. They're currently right now digging another place. And every month we come, you know, these committee meetings happen and nothing happens. Right now, yes, we need to figure out what happened in the past as far as, you know, why this information was not given to us. But this should not stop us from moving forward in this committee on this day. We're stating, based upon the information that we currently have about the negative effects of these 5G towers, that there should be at least a moratorium placed on any more towers being put in. First that, and no activation of these towers until we can do catch up. Because your suggestion, Chair, to not do anything until we find out more information about what happened in the past will not affect our future. Because right now,
Ms. Boyd,
let me-
can I
Miss
make
Timothy,
some
you're
clarity on that?
interrupting.
Please
Okay.
do not put words in my mouth. Thank you. Go
I
ahead.
mean, you just, I just listening to what you said. You said what you
Please
would
go
like
ahead
to
and
do.
do not put words in my mouth. I'm
I'm
listening
not
to what
putting
you have
words
to
in your
say.
mouth. I'm
Okay,
saying,
thank
I
you.
heard
Go
you
ahead.
say, so let's just be clear. I heard
Go
what you
ahead.
said.
Thank you.
And I heard you say that you didn't want to do anything until you figure out what happened. That's what I heard. Now, maybe I'm sitting at the same meeting, maybe somebody heard something different. I'm not hearing anything that's happening right now in this committee that would say, let's put a resolution or let's put a statement out from this committee that there'll be a moratorium put on the 5G tower implementation, because they're still digging and putting 5G towers in our community until we know exactly what happened and that these towers not be activated, because the towers are there, but they have not been activated. This is what we should be doing in this committee today. And yes, we will eventually find out what happened. We will eventually find out, because I foiled from OTI, I foiled CB9, and eventually the information is going to come. But that information will not affect the 5G towers currently happening. So I'm asking this committee to put up a motion on the floor to, at least at this point in time, state that a moratorium should be placed on any more OTI towers being placed in our community, and that they not be activated until the community board has the opportunity to review the entire history of its implementation and know what has happened. We have to stop it now. We cannot keep having meeting after meeting after meeting.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Boyd. Ms.
But you're
Westerlo?
interrupting me, Miss
Ms. Boyd,
know,
Ms.
Miss-
Boyd,
Miss-
Ms. Boyd, can
Miss
we move on,
Timothy,
please?
you are
Ms.
interrupting
Boyd,
me.
I've heard what you said, Ms. Boyd.
Miss
Thank you for your
Timothy, it's not
input.
just for you.
Ms.
It's
Boyd,
not just for you.
I've
It's for
heard
the
what you
community.
said. Ms. Westerlo, please, next.
I'm not finished. I'm not finished. I'm not finished.
Ms. Westerlo, can you go ahead, please?
Miss Timothy,
Ms. Boyd, I'm not having this meeting for you to be back and forth in that
but you're
type of,
not
in that
allowing me
manner
to finish
tonight.
my thought. You have
Ms.
to, I
Boyd,
have a right
can
to
we
finish
move
my
along with
thought.
your, I've heard what
I
you
have-
said. I've heard
But
what
it's
you
not
said, and I would like to move
just for
along with the
you,
meeting
Miss
to hear what
Timothy.
others have
It
to
is
say.
not just for you,
Ms. Boyd,
for me. It's
Ms.
not,
Boyd, Ms. Boyd, I'm asking you
It's not
kindly.
you're
Thank
being
you.
rude.
Ms.
No,
Boyd, I'm asking you
Be
kindly
kind.
so that I can hear what others have to say.
but you don't need to
Thank you,
interrupt.
Ms. Boyd. I appreciate what you're saying. Can I hear from others? Please.
I
Can we
have a
hear from
right to
others?
sit conversation.
Ms. Boyd, yes, but not in that tone, Ms. Boyd. You're behaving as if we're having a discussion. And that's what I want it to be.
I don't think that
A
my
calm-
behavior,
Ms. Boyd,
I
can you?
think you're the
Ms.
one who's being
Boyd?
rude, Miss Timothy.
Hello, Ms. Boyd, can you kindly allow Ms. Westerdahl to speak?
Ms.
Thank
Westerdahl,
you.
I will allow,
Thank you. Ms. Westerdahl?
I
please,
will
you
allow
have
you
the
to
floor.
speak. Thank you, Miss.
All right. Okay, as the Environmental Protection Committee, I believe it's our duty to protect the environment and our residents. And the 5G was brought, the towers were installed without any notification from the community to the community in the summer. My neighbors contacted me, we talked about it, I wrote to the community board, and I really didn't get any answers or any help. And I've been researching extensively. Odette and other people have, Theodora, have showed up as if an answer to a prayer almost, because I really needed information. I've gone to other community board meetings. I've reviewed what other community boards are doing around the city. I've gone to their meetings. I've seen, what they're writing. And I think our best option is to go toward protecting our environment. And that would be to have a resolution to wait and stop and see and listen and find out all those things, where, how, why, what happened. If we just resolve to say, put a hold on things, no more 5G towers until we're able to thoroughly research this and listen to all the voices that need to be heard. Just stop it now and listen and find out what's going on, because it's more than just health risks. Okay, there's health risks from the radiation from those towers that many people are talking about. There's also privacy issues that are coming from this company. Link NYC has a reputation for invading people's privacy. This is a record. This is a matter of record, and investigations have been done. And this is
Okay,
very
so Ms.
controversial, but
Westerville, I have a question for you.
it's safe technology.
You said that
And I
you were
would like-
on the,
I'd like to resolve, like 12 community boards have already put a moratorium on it. And a moratorium just means stop, wait, listen. So can we please do that? I'd like to read off the,
I have a question for you before you move on.
Yeah.
You said you were on the Environmental Protection Committee, the last one.
yes,
What did you guys discuss then?
we didn't discuss anything. No, I mean, other community
So
boards.
this topic was not
Just-
on the table?
No, this topic was never on. I brought it up like
So
5G towers
please,
went up.
let me understand what's going on here. You said you brought it up back then, right?
No.
You didn't bring it up at the last Environmental Protection Committee meeting.
No, the
That
towers.
Before, when you were on the prior committee.
No, the towers went up in the summer of this year. The towers in my neighborhood, the one on Empire and Bedford, the one on Montgomery next to the apartment building where people are living, those went up over the summer.
No,
And I
but what the question to you is, you said that you were on the Environmental Protection Committee prior
Correct.
to being on this committee.
No, it's the same committee, right?
Is this the first committee Environmental Protection Committee that you're on? With myself as chair? Who was the chair of the meeting before?
When I was a committee member, Christian LeBeau was the chair.
Did that
And-
topic come up at all?
No. It did not come up. If you understood it that way, I must have misspoke
Uh-huh.
and made a mistake. It did not come up. The 5G tower, Link NYC topic came up over the summer, and I started writing to CB9 then about it. Like LaShawn Ellis, she wrote to Community Board 9.
So that was last summer you're speaking about?
I'm speaking, yeah, it was maybe like by the time she wrote, I think it was brought up earlier, like within the neighborhood, like what is happening? Look at these towers. What are they? These aren't cool. These are a privacy violation. This company's bad news, this kind of thing. These towers are dangerous. So I wrote to CB9 to find out what was happening. And it was basically brushed under the rug, not followed up with. So, I was trying to find out more information. And then Odette and Theodora showed up, LaShawn and Todd, my neighbors there, everybody was what's going on. I mean, those are right next to Ebbets Field. So we're trying to figure out what's happening. And then I noticed that these other community boards everybody's putting a moratorium on. I heard that somebody got a tower taken down. I went to meetings, and the thing is that Link NYC and the OTI, they are going to other community boards and giving a presentation about what they're doing. Before they install the towers, they're supposed to give a presentation. They were supposed to have contacted the board, give a presentation.
Exactly.
We didn't get that, and they're going full bore on us in our neighborhood. In this majority Black community, they are installing these without the protections that other communities in Manhattan and Queens, they're getting a moratorium place. They're getting them stopped. And I
So
don't think, I
so-
think we move forward and get the same protections for our environment and for our community right away.
So
I've
you're
hard on
saying,
information.
that the
Leading.
prior Environmental Protection Committee chair never presented any information on this?
No, not that I
And to your recollection, nothing was presented to the board. Is that fair to
nothing.
say?
Board never presented a thing, never talked about it. If there was any information sent to the board, I asked Dante many times, not just once, not just twice, like repeatedly about it.
Mhm.
I brought it up at the board meeting. I wrote to them, and it was just like, what? Like, oh, maybe they sent us something and nobody noticed. That was basically the gist of it, honestly.
So you haven't gotten back any feedback on that?
No. And I know Alicia put in a FOIL. Like, I've been really trying hard to find out, and no, they don't really give me an answer. Like, I get, like, of course we want to know, did they contact us? We want a presentation. We want to find out we want to be able to respond. We want to be able to research. We haven't been given that
Okay.
up. And the towers are going up. I saw the guy on a cart just 3 days ago up in the air. I sent a picture. They were installing like something inside of the tower, What
Okay,
is,
so let me just ask Khalid if he has any updates on that. Khalid?
In
Are you
terms of
there?
the yes, in terms of the 5G tower, that's something I have to follow with Dante on. I have no information on that.
it's
And in
been months.
terms of any
been months.
presentations or anything?
I have no information on that. I'll have to reach out to Dante. Sorry.
Please, let's
Okay,
and a moratorium out by our committee. This is the best thing we can do. So, I don't want to hear complaining about it anymore. I want it to just
okay,
stop.
okay. So Khalid,
Yes.
so you said you have to follow up with Dante.
Yes, I have no information on the 5G towers. It was, in place before I came on board. So that's something I have no information on.
If
Okay,
you
because I believe,
I sent about this, let's just put a moratorium on it, please.
okay, so I believe that Dante mentioned something at the general board meeting in terms of following up, because it came up. I think, Teresa, you asked a question and he said that he had to follow up. I believe it was not,
Somebody else asked about it too.
yeah, and Dante said that he would be following up. So
I get
no
in so
information.
and see so much online, and it's very upsetting that we're not doing anything. We can't sit on our hands anymore. A simple resolution is all we need to do, a moratorium. And I worked very hard to get this together, and get help and see what other boards are doing. It's very similar to what Community Board 8 and other community boards have done, what I have here for us. It's great. It'll help us so much. It's just to say, wait, is what it is. I can read the whole thing to you. It's only a page and a half.
Okay, so Khalid,
Maybe Khalid can read it to you.
you since you're saying that you have to follow up with Dante, I am assuming that,
No.
there was no this further discussion
Please.
after the question was posed, I believe, at the last general board
Remember,
meeting, or it probably was the
I'm Fred.
executive committee meeting, I believe.
Remember, Chair Fred Baptiste said at a meeting, said at more than
Yeah.
one meeting, I'm referring this to EP to deal with. We are EP. We need to
Oh.
deal with.
Okay, so I get that, Teresa, but it doesn't mean that we don't ask questions before we act. We have to find out, what the board office has done with the information, if they received any information.
you- Chat, can
Yeah.
you see chat? It says, yes, disapproval moratorium would preserve your rights. Your district is past due on comments to OTI. That's the Office of Technology. So we haven't made our comments. We haven't had a presentation. We need to do this. We need to do this. Thank you.
Okay, so
Jay
you're
Sword has
saying,
his hand up, Debbie.
I'm sorry?
Jay
Khalid?
Sword has his hand up.
Okay, so,
I just want to say that Dante is supposed to be responding back to my FOIL by April 10th is when he's
Okay.
supposed to then submit all the information regarding, again, notification. But again, I would like to support Teresa's position that we need to stop this now. We need to put a temporary moratorium and make it very strong. This
okay, thank you,
constant
Ms.
need to
Boyd.
find
Mr.
information
Sorid, we'll hear from you now.
is ridiculous.
Mr. Sorid?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Great. So just 3 points just to support Teresa's concern and interest for a resolution, which Teresa worked very hard on. New York
okay,
State.
I just want to express that this is a committee. This is not about Teresa, it's about a committee, and as a
Yes,
committee,
yeah.
we need to discuss this as a committee.
Absolutely.
thank
I-
you. Okay,
I'm just, Ms. Chair, I was just referencing what her point.
Okay, thank
And I
you. Go
understand
ahead.
it's up, right. So here's an idea that I think, and I hope it'll be
Okay.
constructive, because I know that there's 4 members of the committee. And if
yes,
the committee chooses to do something, it's up
yes,
to a majority of those 4. So there's nothing stopping this committee from voting upon a resolution if somebody reads it and if a majority of the members want to do it. New York State Open Meetings Law 104 only says that the time and place of the meeting has to be noticed 72 hours. So even if this wasn't on the agenda, you could still vote on it. But it was on the agenda because they said that we're going to talk about the 5G. So I would just echo the point that there's a resolution that that deals with a lot of the aspects where there could be a moratorium, and there's concerns about health concerns, and there's concerns about it being 32 feet tall and sighting and everything continuing, and it's an emergency, and there's going to be possibly irreparable harm that'll happen. So if the committee says, listen, we'd rather be safe than sorry, we're going to have this resolution now rather than it going to the board and the board saying, let's go back to the committee. There's something in place that you can do right now that would be a
okay,
resolution.
me personally, I haven't had the opportunity to read what Teresa sent. And I believe that it's fair enough for
Right.
me to read that information and, see what's in there, as well as any other committee members on
Well,
here.
and
So we would like that opportunity to do so.
right.
Before
I just,
before
Okay.
concluding on anything.
sure. And I would also
Okay.
like to, sure. And I would just like to also add something that could be, I think, informative. And that can clear up whether or not what Dante received, what different people received.
Right,
It was never a ULURP process.
right.
for
I
this.
recall you saying that. at
And
the
I said
general
that,
board
and I'm
meeting.
gonna cite it for the record so anybody could look it up. If you look up Link NYC on the
Uh-huh.
internet and you Google it and you'll see that it specifically said the New York City, and I'm going to read this from where I quoted it. The New
Mhm.
York City Department of City Planning determined, as evidenced in its letter dated April 28th, 2014, that a franchise consistent with the RFP would not have land use impacts or implications, and that review under 197C of the charter would not be necessary. So 197C is ULURP. So the Department of City Planning back in 2014, that's where they said it doesn't have to go through ULURP. And that's an important point. What I said at the board meeting is that they got it wrong because the conclusion of New York City Department of City Planning saying there's no land use impact or implication is based upon the wrong standard. The New York City Department of City Planning got it wrong. They based it upon what would be called a significant environmental impact. Okay, but the resolution which Teresa has, if 3 of the 4 members feel comfortable, doesn't say anything about the complicated aspects of ULURP and land use. It simply says, we're concerned, we want to do something now, let's do it. And I would just humbly ask that you allow it to go to a vote, that if 3 of the 4 members of the committee say, listen, we want to do something now, I'm going to read it. Teresa reads it for a minute and a half. And if you guys want to vote,
Okay,
then vote. Thank you.
I get what you're saying, but we would, let me
Okay.
see if Reverend Gonzalez, I need your input on that
Yeah, I'm hearing.
because I did not get to read that information and I need to read that and make sure that,
I
something
didn't
that-
read it in full
and I
either.
believe that you probably did not get to that as well.
No, I saw it this evening.
Okay, I
can
saw
I-
it this evening as well.
Can I read it? Can I read some of it?
Teresa, we
Because
would
it's
like
pretty,
to
it's a
read the information. I would like to read the information myself. After this
Okay.
meeting, or it's maybe tomorrow morning when, I have that opportunity to sit down and do so. And, provide my feedback on that.
could we
And
talk?
I can't
about-
speak for you, Reverend Gonzalez, but I guess you can express yourself as well.
I'd like to put a motion on the floor to talk about it. Pass it.
But I think that we are talking about that now. In terms of, I'm not gonna change my mind in terms of reading the information.
But it's an emergency situation.
I
It's
am
an-
not going to change my mind again about reading the information. That should have been on the agenda. You had an opportunity to put that information, send it to the committee as a whole, so that we can, even if we needed to do a Google doc amongst ourselves or by phone to talk about it more, but that didn't happen.
Oh, I would
I-
like that. Remember
So,
that
so, so,
in
so
the,
we can,
last-
we can discuss that.
in the
Um,
last meeting, we agreed that I'd work on some writing for this. We did agree to that in the last meeting.
I did not agree on that. I said we as a committee would have to find out more information and then we can move forward on how best we want to address this. Now, in terms of you sending information today that I was not able to read, I think it's fair enough to say that I will read that information tomorrow and provide my feedback. As I said again, I can't speak for Reverend Gonzalez, but I guess she can express herself, for herself. But I intend to look at it tomorrow.
Can
And
we read some of it
make
together, talk about it? And so the people that are here can
I'm
talk.
sorry, Teresa, can you allow Reverend Gonzalez to speak? Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, I was just saying that I'm on because I think the meeting is important, but I'm really struggling with a virus, so. if
Well,
could
I
do
don't want
one
to
tomorrow-
make you speak more than, but will you be able to read that document and see what it
Yes.
says and make your own?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I will look at it tomorrow some
I
point
will read it tomorrow, Debbie,
and
and
I
will have
can,
the office send you back my feedback.
okay,
okay.
so,
Can we,
Thank
is
you.
it possible to schedule an
I
emergency?
appreciate that.
Is it possible, Debbie, to schedule an emergency meeting so you can read this over and we could talk about it and have an
Okay,
emergency?
so what I can do tomorrow,
Thank you.
once I've read it, and what I can do is send an email to, the committee members, including the board office,
Can we have an,
on, my
we-
thoughts. And I'm not sure what Reverend Gonzalez, how she's if she wants to email as well, or, just
Yes, I
send
could
the
give my,
information to me and I can, make that connection.
Yes, let's have,
I will
is it,
reach back to,
I'm sorry.
wow. I will reach
Reverend,
back
I
to
didn't
you.
hear you, and I'm sorry to have you talking with, I know you
No.
said that you're not feeling well.
I'm trying to save my voice. I said I'll
Yes.
reach back to you, Debbie.
Okay,
and
I
let you
appreciate it.
know, Wednesday, I'll be out of town. That's why I'm
Okay.
trying to feel better, because I'm
Okay.
going to the Space Center with my students.
Oh, thank you. I hope you have a great trip.
They'll be meeting one of the astronauts.
Oh, wow. Very good. Nice.
Yeah.
That should be fun.
But,
Okay, so yeah.
I'll reach back to you tomorrow, Debbie.
Okay, so one way or the other, we'll
Right.
connect and determine, we'll include the board office as well with this, with whatever our, findings are and how we want to move forward with this information as a committee.
Is it, a quick question, is it possible to schedule an emergency meeting, Khalid, in like 2 weeks? Could we do that? Could I make a motion to schedule an emergency environmental protection committee in 2 weeks from now? Can we do that?
I'm not sure that, I know that the schedule for April is a bit, Khalid can speak
Yes,
more
it'll
to
have,
that,
it'll
or
have
the
to go
board
through the
office.
committee chair. And, she can reach out
But
tomorrow.
again, I, as I said, I will read over that information tomorrow.
Okay.
And see
But it's
what it
handled through the
says,
chair.
and then I can,
Would
and
you
then-
be willing to do that, Debbie, to make an emergency meeting in April? I am.
Okay, so once I read over the information, I don't have a problem, doing whatever, we come in terms with as a committee. I believe that, everyone should have a voice and an opinion on how we move forward on this. So,
Yeah.
let us just focus on reading it and, put in, as, Dr. Gonzalez said, and myself, and, determining how we would like to move forward on this. So,
What about,
I
what about-
will, Teresa, can we hear from Jay? I believe he has something else he want to say for.
Yes,
You know,
I
a few
just
minutes.
had something else that may be helpful, Ms.
Okay.
Chair. This board in the last few months, when it had an emergency, something that needed to be done, it created the precedent that you could skip over a committee. It was the bylaws committee. It was not the bylaws committee. Can we duplicate what Fred Baptiste did, in which Fred created an information center session and said, listen, we're going to go directly to the board. We're going to post it 10 days before, but that was specific to bylaws. But can we post, let's say, Teresa's resolution, okay? And then can you vote on this at the general board meeting? Like, let's say you send it out now, you wait, like, let's say 7 days, you send it to different people. If there's no objections with the 4 committee people, you could then say, tell you what, let's put this to the general board, and the board, because it's an emergency, can vote upon this resolution. You can go to the executive committee and say, listen, we want to put this on the board, and it could be posted on the website under resources. And then you could skip over the committee, just like the board did when it was the bylaws. You don't need a committee if it's an emergency, just an idea.
Okay, so again, I've already said what I had to say, and
Okay.
I don't think I'm gonna backstep on that. But
Oh,
thank
no.
you that, that help information is helpful in terms of, looking
Not
at-
needing a committee.
in ways of putting it out there.
Yeah, you don't need an emergency thing. You could also go straight to the board. Thank you.
Okay, so, yeah, thank you.
and
Does
one thing,
anyone else have any
gonna-
further
My
questions?
hand is up. I put my hand up.
Okay, so,
my hands up.
I see Teresa, your hand is still up. So if you're not, you should just put your hand down if you,
No, I put it back up.
okay, so let's hear from what Ms. Boyd has to say.
I think it just saddens me to see that these towers, which are so dangerous in our community, towers that are now going along the perimeter of one of the largest residential complex that we have in our community, which is Ebbers Field, we can't at least put a moratorium. I mean, all you need is one sentence, and it would say, you know, I place a motion on the floor for there to be a moratorium on the continuation of the 5G towers and the activation of the 5G towers. That's all you need to say that.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Mr.
input.
Timothy, I don't understand why you won't let me continue to speak.
Miss Boyd, can you please, you know, for the sake of time, can you please, I heard what you said, and I've heard what everyone else said, but in all fairness, I would like to be able to read what was sent to the committee members and the board office before I, you know, determine which way I would like to, and I would also like for the other committee members to have that opportunity as well. That is all I'm saying. And, you know, I think it's fair enough to say that. I saw someone else with their hand up.
What I'm saying,
Okay, so,
what I'm saying, if you would like to speak,
okay, so Teresa, you said you had something else to say?
what I would like, I have not been able to finish saying, interrupted me, Miss Timothy.
Okay, so Ms. Boyd, you have a minute to finish, please. Thank you.
Okay, fine. What I find very disheartening is that there's no sense of emergency coming from this committee.
You know, and what I can say to that is this information has been out there before this committee was formed, and it's unfair for you to come here tonight and behave in the way that you're behaving and think that we should, you know, just jump because you say something. I am a very understanding person, but when it comes to someone pushing me back on things that I think is fair, I don't appreciate it. Okay, I've heard what you said. I've heard what everyone said. I am not speaking in the tone that you're speaking, and I would appreciate that you do the same.
Well,
So,
you know, we can
understand each other and move forward with this. But I am not going, because you want me to jump, I'm not going to jump. There are 4 people on this committee. And yes, we can come to an agreement by not allowing someone to push us to do something that we, you know, not willing to do before we read the information that is out there.
Miss Timothy,
so I would appreciate it if you would allow me to do so and allow the other committee members to do the same as we requested. Is that fair to ask, Ms. Boyd?
Well, I think it's unfair of the community.
Okay, well,
because
you know,
the community,
I cannot,
Miss Timothy?
I cannot speak for you, but I guess, you know, if it's unfair to you.
Can I finish speaking, Ms.
Okay,
Timothy?
go ahead. Thank you.
Please, thank you. I'd appreciate that.
Okay,
I think I sent you emails. I sent you information, Ms. Timothy. I asked you if you wanted more information on this issue.
Ms. Boyd, I can do my own research and I have enough information that I received from the board office. I requested information from the board office. I shared it with the committee members, and, you know, so I have enough information. I'm doing my own research to read up and get as much information as I can.
So then if you already have enough information, I don't understand. If you already have enough information, I don't understand why is it you cannot put a temporary, I'm not saying a permanent, a temporary moratorium on this issue tonight until you can find out what happened in the past. If you already have enough information about the 5G towers and their danger, why not sit there and do something now with one sentence resolution?
But Ms. Boyd, I don't understand why, if you knew about this all along, you're just bringing it up to this committee.
No.
What about the former committee? No one
because we didn't know about it.
But why is it? Why is it?
We did not know.
Allow the committee members to read the information before we, you know, decide how we want to move forward on this.
We had no idea.
Fair enough.
We had no idea.
You just trying to make us do something that, you know, and not allowing us to read the information.
We had no idea about these.
Okay, so let us work together on getting this, you know, the information that we need, reading all the information that's out there, or that was sent to us, and be able to, you know, move forward in a, you know, as a committee. That's fair enough to ask. Yeah. Okay, Teresa, I will allow you to say what you have to say before we move on.
Okay, I just wanted to be,
yeah.
I wanted to be clear that the document I'm I proposed that I sent to you and to the board is a proposal. And I didn't write it all. I didn't, it's similar to documents that other community boards have used.
Mhm.
12 so far, including the borough president of Manhattan, their city
Okay.
council. It's similar to that, and I just changed things. So it would be, people helped me. I found this document and it's related to City Bridge, OTI, and
Okay.
it's a group effort, it's a group effort, and I want you, Debbie, and I want the bishop, and I hope Christina and
Yes.
anybody to comment on it, and we work on it together to do the right thing for our
Okay.
community. The group effort,
So-
it's not mine really
So
at all.
that's all I'm saying. We are a committee and we're gonna do this together. We are not going to be swayed in any way to do things because people feel as though it's in all fairness, we need to be able to do that. And
Oh,
that's
please
how I'm going to,
comment
Yeah.
on it. Work on
okay,
it
yes,
together, and maybe we can put it before, like Jay said, maybe we could put it into the board. If it's something you are okay with, we could put it into the board and the whole board can vote on it, like in 2 weeks when we have our meeting. That's what I
okay,
hope.
so again, we are going to read the information. I don't know if Christine, if someone can, I did ask Khalid to get in contact with Christine to see if she's okay. And so at least she can get a sense as to what's going on and read the information that was sent, and we can talk about it some more and
And just,
determine how we would like to move forward on that.
I don't know if this is really an environmental protection issue, but we've been assigned it by Fred Baptiste at a board meeting. So that's why I've been working on it. And
And that's why I brought up what I brought up at the last meeting.
the other,
Because
the other
they
key-
shouldn't, it's bouncing around and I don't like the idea.
the committee.
It's bouncing
before-
around. It's something that should have been out there and addressed appropriately, and it wasn't done. So now,
Exactly.
it's here and
His EP committee didn't have anything to do with it, didn't know anything about it,
Right.
nothing was
well,
brought to our.
it probably was at the ULURP.
No, it was not.
And then,
It was
Nothing-
not at the ULUP. It was
it was
never
not a
presented.
ULURP.
No,
Okay,
it
so
was
I don't know
not.
where
It was-
it came from, but we are going to try to address it.
Nothing's been brought up,
Yeah.
so
Okay, so yeah,
the other committee didn't know the towers went in. Let's see, the towers went in what? I think August, September is when LaShawn Ellis first noticed them. She sent a
Right.
message. Then she was talking about it to the neighbors. She sent a message to the community board. It's been rolling. And we
okay,
need
so yeah, so I think that this committee
stop.
will be responsible for
Stop.
the rolling to stop. And
yes,
so-
roll-
yeah, so hopefully we can get to the bottom of it and move forward with it and stop it from rolling all over the place. I don't think it's fair to us or to my committee to have to deal with something that's been rolling. And so we are going to have to stop it at some point, and I guess this is where it's going to get stopped. So if there are no further questions, I will put a motion on the floor to
Don't
adjourn the
adjourn,
meeting.
please. I want to talk about the key thing that happened today. We had a great
Oh, what was that?
event today. We had a wonderful event today that just,
What was that event you're speaking about?
well, today there was Christian LeBeau, the chair of the committee, and Martina Victoria.
Uh-huh.
Brought this up at the board meeting. Martina, Christian, and they wrote a grant, and they received a grant to put in a garden in a isolated, desolate area. Garden, and Martina followed through with that. She called me and she let me know they were having they had an event today using that grant money that the EP committee members got. And they, it was from, let me look on my phone. It was from, let me see. Oh, it was Citizens NYC grant from that they'd written. And they basically, I went over there with my hoe and dug up. Cliff showed up. I don't know. He's a gardener that does a lot of the gardening on Rogers. That's been phenomenal. He came and this a woman, Elizabeth, another neighbor.
I'm sorry, what was the location you're talking about?
It was done on Sullivan Place and Franklin, near where there's bikes there now, close to it. Kind of behind McDonald's. It was just like a little old tree pit that was just,
okay.
there's nothing there. So they dug, a group of children showed up, high school kids from Liz Oat with BASE, Brooklyn Academy of Science and Environment, came with 11 students, grades 9 through 12. There's also Sheila Knoll. She has a studio on Montgomery, 280 Montgomery, from Architecty Studio. Cliff, other students came, and myself. I took a lot of pictures. They're beautiful. And they came with dirt, and we dug up this tree pit with these kids. It was actually great. The kids were really into it. They dug up and they planted. They had a bunch of plants that Sheila Noel brought with Cliff, and we planted a little garden over there, and it's beautiful, and you should go by and see it. And
I certainly will.
That was this afternoon at 3 p.m. So it's something that the EP committee did that they followed through on before with that were here.
Okay.
So, and we talked about how Ms. Inez Frazier, who passed away last week, she was the gardener and a wonderful neighbor, and I'm gonna miss her. How much she would have loved to have been there, because she was so into young children and people gardening together of all ages, and that's what happened on behalf of our committee in the past, just last year. So
yes,
I wanted to share that wonderful news before, because there's, I just wanted to talk about that honestly tonight. But
okay, so I will make it my business to stop by the location and see.
I'll send you.
So you took pictures and you sent it to the board, or?
I didn't send them to anybody. I really didn't have time, because
okay, all right. But I will definitely go by and take a look and see what it looks like, because I'm pretty big on, gardening and planting flowers and beautifying stuff. So that's a good thing. Okay, so Reverend
Yes, Debbie.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you don't have anything else that you want to put out there. I know I'm making you talk.
No,
do that.
No, I'm fine.
Okay,
I'm fine.
so that's okay.
I will read and give you feedback.
Okay, I appreciate it. And without further ado, I will put a motion on the floor to conclude this meeting for tonight. And I will be definitely following up on the next steps for this whole 5G thing that's bouncing around. Okay. It is now, Khalid, it's now 8:45. Do you have any information for us before we close, Khalid?
No, I just want to say thank you for everybody that's coming. Everything that was talked about will be followed up on.
Okay, and I appreciate you taking minutes for the meeting. And since our secretary is not here tonight, but if you can also follow up to see if she's okay, and if there's anything that she needs. Okay, Christine.
Khalid, don't forget to grab chat. Did you grab chat and copy chat? Can you please do that?
Yeah. Okay, so Khalid, it's now 8:46 PM. I adjourn this meeting.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Thank you to everyone for attending, and I think it was a great conversation. And hopefully, we can, get this thing, moving quickly, and stop bouncing around. As someone mentioned, it's been bouncing around. Okay, thank you, and have a good night and a happy, holiday, Easter holiday season.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Night, everyone.
Thank you.